I'm David. Look at me, I'm a developer. And I'm not really like a crypto native. Like I'm really like, I like the tech, I like what's the idea, and I use the crypto, but it's not my background. And also, since it's Cluj, like it's a wonderful conference, but I have to say I'm not that familiar with Ethereum. So yeah, I come from the internet computer, from another perspective. But still, I wanted to share what I think about what I'm still building. And whoopla. Yes, all right. So when we had contact about me doing a talk here, I was a bit thinking about what I can speak about, you know? And this year, when I open Twitter, it's all about AI. You know, it's like just like 90% of my tweets are about AI, agent, and so on. And even here at the conference, you hear a lot about MCP server and so on. And at the end of the day, I ask myself, okay, it's AI everywhere, and is it still relevant to code in 2010? Like building maybe, but coding, is it something I should still do? And honestly, there are data everywhere, AI everywhere, but who really cares about the data? At the end of the day, it's like, I don't know, like, I always like to think that I'm not sure my mom really cares where are things stored. So, yeah, does it make sense that I continue building on Web3? And when we go to the beginning, for me, as I told you, I'm not like a crypto native, but what Web3 promised to me was the ownership. That was really something that interested me, like being in control of my project, being in control of my data, of everything. Like I'm the one that rule my own little kingdom. And also, I really like that it's an open infrastructure, that you can just query and interact with everything. Everything is public, no closed door, no private things. And also like it, the fact that it's not a locked in, while I'm not really sure that it's the case on Web3, like yeah, we probably derived a bit. And also, of course, I don't really have to explain why. I think it's really important to have no gatekeepers, and I don't want anyone to disallow me to do anything. So, all right. Whoop. No? Yes. So when I look at the status, that's actually the web I got. And I mean, those products are great. There is no question asked. I mean, besides that, I really don't like the UX of AWS. Like, I mean, they do a great job and so on, but it's not really what I was promised. And it's still like, I don't know how many % of the web is based on this infrastructure, even on the blockchain we know. So, yeah, I mean, that's what we got. And so, what am I compromising? I mean, like, I talk about ownership, but at the end of the day, I build on this cloud. I mean, it's not my cloud. Or I talk about permanence, but I mean, yes, I can trust AWS, but to some extension, the service can disappear, you know? Like, you never know what's happened. It's like not super sure. And I say trustless, but I have no control over that infra, or I have a control to some extent only. And I talk about decentralization, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not really that decentralized, or not at all. So yeah, it's like a bit. I should take a course to learn how to make that clicker work. Oh yeah. So in addition to that, I also spoke about AI, and I mean, yeah, it's nice. I use Copilot, it helps me. I can use V0 to spin an application like in 5 minutes. I can let cursor vibe my app. We just spoke about it. And yeah, it's really great. But who owns the app that is spin at the end? Who runs what I've built? Where does it live? And so my question, like, when I think about this thing is like, should I just give up? Maybe it's fine like that and let's continue, or maybe it's too complex to do differently, and I have all those questions, honestly. And but still, I mean, of course, I hope Lucy not give up, and I still want that fact. I really like that concept of ownership on my project, on my data, and I still want unstoppable apps. And of course, I also want a DX that doesn't suck, because it's not because it's Web3 that I should have like a cumbersome DX. And on the other side, I don't want like, I'm really super lame at DevOps, so I don't want to host my own server because I don't know how to do that. And I don't want security hole or a fragile toolchain, right? So that's why I try to kind of resolve that on my small level, and I built something called Juno. And it's a platform and a set of tools that helps developers build entirely on the blockchain, on the internet computer, right? And when I mean entirely, it's backend and frontend. So for example, here you see the UI of the console that developers use to configure their project. That UI itself comes from the chain. Oopla. So yeah, so it works, it runs entirely on the IC, and you have various services like a little, let's say, key store database, not really a database, more a key store. You have a file storage, which can go up to 500 giga. So, I mean, it's like you can put 500 giga in a smart contract. So it's like kind of nice. There is an authentication. You can write some serverless function if you want to, I don't know, like do some cross-chain feature and this kind of things. And yeah, that's all my point. It's like every developer that uses the tools is the sole controller of the thing. So me, David, that provides the platform, cannot do anything. So yeah, as I said, it's like Juno is the platform I build, but the superpowers come from the internet computer. Like, I mean, I don't invent the chain, So basically, I provide smart contracts so that developers can spin their own smart contracts, and all the smart contracts can interact together, basically. And yeah, it works like that. So a developer gonna jump in Juno, and when they create, like, let's say, an account, it actually creates what I call the mission control, which is basically a smart contract wallet. And from there, the developer can spin their project. And what is kind of really important, like I said, is this part here has no control at all on these things. So only the developer or the developer mission control can stop, start, delete, upgrade, deploy, and so on. Me, as a provider, I cannot do that. And the project, let's see, we have all used the ETH app, right? This last day. So let's say I want to host that app not on the, I don't know where it's hosted, but I want to host that on the blockchain. So what I would do is I would spin a satellite, and in that satellite, I would just deploy the app ETH Cluj. And then everybody at the conference would access that app here, because it's available on the web, and everything comes from that satellite, which is actually like it's a WASM container, and basically you put your app within that WASM container that runs indefinitely on the chain. So I'm gonna show you really quick how is it like when you spin something on Juno. But at midday, like just after this talk, I'm gonna give a 1 hour workshop, because I'm way more, I rather like to code than to speak. And I will show you the steps, like, and a bit all the features, but just to give you a sneak peek. So basically, to install Juno, it's like any front-end framework you like. Either you have an app and you just init Juno in your app, or you use a template, you say blah, 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 I want next, blah, 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 I want serverless function, go, and it's done, right? Because it's all based on JavaScript. And then once you have your environment locally, you can run an emulator because on the internet computer there is no testnet, but you can basically run, let's go, a testnet on your machine. So you kind of run all that local environment with everything. And even before we saw the console, even the console of Juno, you can run it locally. So you really have like an environment locally that mimics production. So you can do everything just before going to mainnet, which is kind of nice. And then, as I told you, there are various features like authentication, kind of small database, file storage, analytics, and so on. And in your front-end app, I give you a JavaScript library, and you basically just use function. Like, for example, this set document is like you save a payload that contains hello and hello from Juno on the chain in a, what I call a collection, messages. And the thing is like, it's mutable, so you can update. You can really interact like you will interact with any NoSQL database, basically. Because it's the way I programmed it, right? And on the backend side, so I give you, basically, you don't start with a blank smart contract, you start with a smart contract that has already features. That way you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. But if you want to go a step further, then you can basically supercharge the features and implement your own stuff. So if, for example, we take again the example of the ETH Clues app, let's say we want the ETH Clues apps to allow people to send notification between them, right? So what we can do is the internet computer has a features that allows to send message from the blockchain to the Web2 world. So basically, you can extract that and write a function that says, okay, when someone saves something in that collection, that it send a notification to Web2, and then the Web2 gonna ping the phone of the other person, right? This kind of thing. It's a bit abstract, that's why there is a workshop. And for the deployment, I don't have Web2 infrastructure, so there is two ways to deploy on chain. So either you are super strict about what you do and you really want full control and you just work with a CLI on your machine where you can deploy. Or the new things which I personally like to do is I like to set up GitHub Actions so that GitHub builds and deploy, but you can decide if you trust GitHub or not, or if you trust any runner. So you can basically, there is 3 levels of permission, and you can go and say, okay, I trust GitHub, I'm agree that GitHub can deploy my front-end and upgrade my back-end. Or maybe you can say, I don't trust GitHub, and I just want GitHub to build and propose me an upgrade, or propose me to deploy. And then through the CLI or the console, I can go and approve those chains and execute those. It's like having a mini governance to deploy things, which is kind of nice because then, again, you don't compromise on who controls things, or at least you can choose. And yeah, like I said, you can host your front end in a smart contract, and that's where we kind of compromise a bit with all the premise of not using Web2 is you still need like an URL, like you need a domain name like juno.build or whatever, and it's where we still have to configure a DNS. But maybe in the future, you never know. And there are also little other features, like for example, I don't use any analytics like plausible and so on, don't speak about Google Analytics. There is like a smart contract on Juno that takes care of doing analytics. So basically, if you go to juno.build, then it sends the events to a smart contract, and then those data is aggregated from there. I don't know if it's useful, but it's kind of nice to be fully on Web3 because why not? I mean, and yeah, there is still a bit of touch of crypto, even though I'm not one native. It's like, as I told you, there is wallet. It's also interesting to know that everything is powered by cycles on the internet computer. It's a reverse gas fee. It means that there is no chance that you get like a $10,000 bill at the end of the month. It's basically you paid in advance and then it's consumed. So if you pay, I don't know, like $10, when it's consumed, then it's finished, right? So then you can monitor and so on, but there is no surprise, which is really nice. And also, obviously, like there is no way comparison with gas fee and so on. It's way cheaper. I mean, it's really totally different. And of course, you got access key and you got cost chain feature. Like I'd say, like for example, you can wrap and unwrap Ether on the IC and so on. And yeah, what is this for? So I think that's like the whole talk. It's biased, it's my point of view, but I think it's good for dev that I tired of backend glue because I don't, like I say, I don't like too much DevOps, so I make it light. I think it kind of not bad for indie hacker because maybe I'm one. And I think it's really useful for people that are keen of a certain level of security and like me that who wants to control their project. So, well, is it interesting for you? Maybe because at the end we are at disclosure. Why would you try that stuff, you know? So, like I said, maybe you have a project and you are running some whatever tools and you still have a front end that is static site rendered and you host that on, I don't know, Vercel. Why not move it to Juno? I mean, you can just move your front end if you want. Maybe you want to try to build a full stack app on chain because it's kind of cool. In the workshop, I'm gonna showcase some example of what you can build. Those famous cron chain feature, and maybe the talk was not too bad and it kind of sounds a bit cool, hopefully. And yeah, so to come back to my opening is like, I feel like at least on Twitter, Web3 and blockchain isn't that cool and hype anymore. But it doesn't mean that it's not worth it, or it, at least to me, it means something, and I think it makes sense to continue to build it, because if we don't do it, then I'm not sure who will do it. So yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, especially reminding us what we're actually building towards, right? We're building every time. We had this discussion just before we started. It was so fun. We talked about how AI is coming in, but we still need the human element to make sure everything rolling. That I saw you just brought in very fast. So the way you build your product, is it on-chain? Do you still use the gas fees and everything when you do the transactions?
No, that's the thing. On the IC, there is no gas fee. So it's like kind of every operation has a defined price. And like even like if you do an ICP transaction, I don't know if it's like, I don't know what's the price exactly of the course, but it's fixed. And it's like, I don't know, 0.00 whatever cents.
So it's pennies on the dollar basically.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, that's good, because many times when you have something built with blockchain that goes in, you have so much gas fees going through all the time.
No, not at all.
So that's why I want to make sure, because that's the love about it. We love Web3, right? We want to build on it.
So I can give you an example. So I used to have my own website hosted on Firebase. And I never moved it to Juno, because my idea was always like my personal goal was to, the day Juno is decentralized, because it's not yet decentralized, I will move my own website there. But this year, Firebase changed their price, and I started to have like a bill monthly where I had to pay like $20 or $30 for a website, you know? And I was like, why should I do that? And then at some point I was just like, yeah, fuck it. And I moved my website to Juno, or to the internet computer. And I think, I don't know, like I will maybe pay $10 or $20 for a year, but maybe less, you know? So I think it's really like, even like to host a website is really, at least at the moment, really interesting.
Yeah, because all Web2 website providers are figuring out we are gonna die soon, but we need the money before we go.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Do we have any questions from the audience coming in today? I think they had a too much party yesterday, so I don't think they have much to say.
No worries. But yeah, thanks for joining, even if 11 a.m. seems to be early in Cluj on Saturday morning.
I think they're detoxed right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was really love having them. And thank
Thanks
you
a lot.
again, David.
Thanks.
A big hand, everyone, for David, and thank you.